Wait. One more time. Doesn't get much better than this. Not much better than this. Ooh, that water's cold. Dear Mother and Father, I've been so busy recently, but also so roasting hot. The weather did not improve. I decided to take part of the day to spend here at the river. Just like at home, I've always loved the water. It cleans, it reflects the light, it keeps secrets almost unknown but to itself or the distant past. And on the hottest days, like today, to pass the time beneath a shady oak, wide-brimmed and dense with leafy cover, it's as if the grass below me forms a gentle bed next to the perfect murmuring companion, ever changing as the rains of far-off lands flow through between its banks. Perfection. I wasn't very public about my coming here, to the river, that is, as I was hoping for some alone time. Brother Lankley did spot me heading in this direction, but he probably will not follow. And that reminds me, he and Brother Gladys got into a rather difficult scuffle, as it were, causing them to be separated, even though Brother Gladys is probably 2 to 3 times older than young Brother Lankley. Now, I don't like to spread gossip, but you don't live here. So, apparently, Brother Lankley had a severe gash on his hand, which Brother Gladys found him cleaning up. When he asked, Brother Lankley got defensive. And when he wouldn't leave well enough alone, I presume Brother Gladys, being an honorable man, was only trying to be helpful as our physician. Instead of responding calmly to this kindness, Brother Lankley up and shoved the good doctor. Now, he did not fall over, but the scuffle intensified till Father Clam was called out. And because Father Clam was called out, so on came pious Overman Simmons, our visitor from the Abbey order that I've told you about. As a small crowd gathered, of which I was part, Father Clam demanded to know what was going on. I heard Brother Lankley shout something like, "None of your business!" Well, when Overman Simmons intervened, Overman being his formal title, Simmons being his surname, Brother Lankley grabbed his arm and bit him just above the elbow, somehow drawing no blood, but leaving purple blisters underneath the skin. We were all stunned at the development. Shocking, as it were. I fully expected Overman Simmons to lash out and to berate the younger monk in front of the entire Abbey, as a great many of us had gathered. It seems any amount of drama or spectacle draws such a crowd as to make them seem like flies arising from spoiled meat. First, like flies, there are none. Then there are crowds of them. Yet, Overman Simmons said nothing. Merely, he responded with a face cherry red, but controlled. "Please have good Brother Lankley to the far end of the cloister in 5 minutes. Clam, I will expect you there as well as the Abbey leadership." What happened then? I don't know, as the leadership physically prevented us from accessing that part of the grounds. Though, you can be sure, some of us claimed the most urgent need on more than one occasion during the space of the next 15 minutes, trying to get in. And none of them needed to get in within that 15 minutes. Anyway, Brother Lankley returned, face blank, with no obvious effects, whistling quietly without a smile, his hairy eyebrows weighing his face down like an anvil. Next, after him, filed out Father Clam, an expression of bewilderment mixed with concern shrouding his face. A few others followed then, finally followed by a disheveled Overman Simmons. Overman Simmons walked as if in a daze, even clinging to a wall at one point. I heard him whimper, as it were, but I was not close enough, seeing as how so many monks were quote-unquote returning to their tasks all the while. So you see, there is much to be discussed. I hear that around this time of year, putting that whole episode aside, there is a traveling circus that comes to entertain us. But how that will clash with the feelings surrounding us at this point, I can't even guess. And I do not know when they are supposed to be here, if they will even be allowed to come in. Let's not forget Overman Simmons now. But that is enough. I think I found an actual friend amongst the folks here. Not that others were unfriendly before. Brother Theodore is a short halfling I mean, he is a halfling, not an extra short halfling. So he tells me, at least. He is always so sensitive about his height, being the only halfling here that I am aware of, and I think I've seen everybody. He waves at everyone, even if he is not allowed to be talking. He eats enough food for 3 at all meals, and always has a kind word for me. Actually, he was one of the first that introduced themselves to me when I arrived late last year. He has shaggy blonde hair and a cloak that is just slightly too long for him, though the rest of his appearance is neat and tidy. He's not too excitable, all that notwithstanding, and he loves real conversation. We've bonded over our shared love for gardening and butterflies, actually, as he has tracked many of the varieties of both about the Abbey grounds. It also helps our mutual connection that he joined a little less than 3 months before I did. It has become one of his duties to maintain the gardens, or more broadly, to weed out all plots about the grounds. My main issue with him is that he clicks his tongue about every 5 seconds. He'll say, "Fine weather we're having, eh?" And we'll make that sound with his tongue. Anyway, I do not usually write this early in the day. It is midday, after all. But seeing as how I need light to do this, and the wilds near the river are not exactly safe at night, I choose to write now. It is beautiful here, especially under the shade, even regardless of the heat. I choose to remember that in the wintertime, I would castigate the presence of the bitter chill, even as then I would long for the heat of the summer. So, it gives me pause, then, to think of hailing the cold as preferable when the heat is so strong. I wish there were a holiday coming up that I might celebrate, but I am not sure what comes next on the Abbey calendar. By the way, before I go, please don't worry about Uncle Clam. I'm sure he will recover quite well. He is holing up in the infirmary, receiving the best, utmost care, enjoying the time out of the Overman's spotlight. That Overman Simmons is a stern one. Please let me know how little Jesse is doing with his letters. I'd love to see him write me a letter one of these days. And please have little Wilkie send me one of the pieces he is working on. I'd love to have something to remind me of him. Oh, yeah. Can you send some seeds from the garden? I'd love to plant something nearby that came from home, that I can tend to, that reminds me of you all. I'm not going hungry, but the thought of raising something that grows because it was born from far away at my house gives me great joy. That is all. For the final time. Until my next letter comes in. Your darling son, William Faingood.